My name is Mark Beam. I'm perdón, but I'm going to speak in English. I just found out that I was going to be on this panel last week, and this is a really important event to me, and I just want to make sure that I at least express myself in words really clearly. We're going to talk about the future of impact investing. And just to start, for a background, I'm a former Wall Streeter who moved to the impact investing world pretty much in the mid-'90s to late '90s, thinking that the crash that occurred a year and a half ago would have happened 10 years ago. But because the system that I see as the capital market system right now is not sustainable, and that's been proven. And I think that that the only way to really change the system is to create a new model, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. I've lived in Oaxaca for 8 years. I started a Hub Oaxaca, which is a very locally based grassroots initiative to try to support individuals who are trying to change the world. And we're doing it in isolation, and we've created something that at a very local level that allows individuals to be supported in their efforts and not in isolation. I also started a SOCAP, which is an event similar to what's occurring today. And the difference, the similarity is that for the first time, investors from different asset classes and different perspectives are in the same place, talking about investments in microfinance and fair trade and clean technology. Whereas in previous conferences, they were very isolated in their own sectors. And it's incredibly empowering to be in the same space with the same people that are investing in the same things, but for different reasons, with different perspectives. And that's one of the challenges that I see for impact investing in general, is the diversity that exists, which is also its strength. If we could put up the first slide. I just want to create a little context before jumping into the panel and the introductions. I'm also on the board of the Buckminster Fuller Institute, and one of the things that Bucky used to say is, if you want to change things, you don't try to change the existing reality. You build a new model that makes the old model obsolete. And I think essentially impact investing is that new model, and that it's the purest, great grassroots up model that will inform the larger capital markets. And so we're calling it impact investing, but there's a long history of what's been happening that's led to this point that we're now calling impact investing. And those two realities in the emerging model side maybe started with international development, that eventually became too big, too much money coming to intermediaries that weren't really in touch with what was happening at the grassroots level. And that led to a number of things. But the terminology that we've eventually come to are things like triple bottom line, social capital markets, green investing, and sectors like microfinance, fair trade, and clean tech that we're calling impact investing. On the other side, when I was on Wall Street, emerging markets was the investment in places like India and Latin America. And in terms of the movement toward a more sustainable future on the corporate side and the big business side, it was under the name of business ethics and then corporate social responsibility, leading to social responsible funds, the SRI world, which has become a gigantic industry in the world already. But what I'm looking for is the bridge where the emerging model starts to inform and and influence the existing capital market structure, because that's where the big changes will happen. In terms, if you could go to the next slide really quick. The next one. Nope. Oh, it's not there. Never mind. In terms of recent trends, I want to just really quickly identify a couple things that I think that have occurred that are important, that have led to the quick development, especially in the last few years, of this marketplace. The identification of sectors like clean technology, fair trade, microfinance. The movement itself, the way people have, and especially young people, have moved toward this field in mass. The new programs in business schools. When I started in this 9 years ago, there were just a handful of programs, and now there are almost every university now is being compelled to create a new program within their business schools to address impact, what we're going to call impact investing. The lack of a terminology has also been really difficult for the market to evolve. We're now calling it impact investing, and that's really the result of Rockefeller Foundation's efforts to really support the field and the identification of the need to create a common terminology so that everybody's talking about the same thing. The growth of performance metrics, the ability to measure social impact, and the ability to raise funds, and the number of deals that are happening. In general, the building of an ecosystem that brings new ventures from microfinance all the way to an exit in an IPO, that ecosystem is still being built. But in the last few years, that's one of the things that's really propelled the market, the development of the market. But in the future, a few things and that I think that remain to be determined, or are hopes and intentions that will make the market or allow the market to develop more rapidly, is the bottom line. There are no proven consistent results from investing in impact investments. There's not a long history. So there's a pioneering investing going on in early stage companies that have not yet proven themselves, and it's going to take time for that to happen. The broader public has still not been able to participate. If as an individual, no matter where you are, you still can't invest in an impact investment fund of any sort, I think that's potentially a huge gateway for a much broader expansion into the marketplace. The SRI market was an example of that. The government's role is a huge factor in the future. We've been doing some work in the United States with the Obama administration and trying to find a home for a proposal called the Enterprise Innovation Fund. And it would create a matching fund for private capital from the government, with the government underwriting some of the risk. And that discussion has led to numerous discussions, as Michael Cox can tell us about, that within Treasury, within different areas of the government, that has, it's being rapidly adopted and talked about within that administration. And I think that same thing is going on in other governments. That could be a huge factor. Finally, well, not finally, but the adoption of technology, social networks, and the use of mobile phones. Because of the wide adoption of mobile phones, technology has a huge role to play in the possible rapid expansion of the marketplace. And finally, the youth, the number of young people that are being attracted into this marketplace is just incredible. Everywhere I go, I keep meeting young people that are moving in this direction. So with that, just some initial thoughts. I want to start with Fabio and have him introduce himself and talk about one of the things that he thinks is the most important to the future of the rollout of impact investing, and then we'll just go down the line.
Muy buenos días, mi nombre es Fabio Segura. Para LGT Venture Philanthropy es un honor compartir este panel. Nosotros somos un inversionista de impacto primero. Básicamente tenemos apetito por organizaciones o empresas jóvenes que están creciendo fuertemente y cuya misión es incrementar la calidad de vida de las personas menos aventajadas en el mundo. Proveemos capital de deuda y equity en montos de 200,000 a 1.5 millones de dólares y lo hacemos en América Latina, África y el sureste asiático. En nuestra opinión y en la construcción filosófica de nuestro modelo, nosotros esencialmente creemos que la inversión de impacto debe desaparecer. Y creemos que esto debe desaparecer por dos razones. La primera es que aceptar que exista una clase de activo llamada inversión de impacto implica aceptar que la mayoría o con una proporción muy importante de inversiones tradicionales tienen un impacto neto negativo en las sociedades o en el medio ambiente. No solamente esto es algo que se está volviendo más difícil de implementar en el mundo entero. Cuando las sociedades comienzan a convertirse en actores que tienen una voz dentro de los procesos y las decisiones de inversión, estos procesos van a tener que tomar un camino diferente cuando estos impactos no puedan ser compensados. Y segundo, porque el planeta mismo está hablando cada vez más fuerte en esos procesos de inversión. En algún momento en el diseño de nuestro sistema económico, a alguien se le olvidó poner una nota final diciendo no se puede crecer de forma infinita en un planeta finito. Ahora, la segunda razón por la cual la inversión de impacto debe desaparecer es porque los empresarios cuyo negocio es la transformación social simplemente deben convertirse en empresarios tan competitivos y tan profesionales que no tengamos que tener una clase separada de inversionistas atendiendo a este mercado. Ahora, esto no va a suceder automáticamente. El camino de aquí hasta allá implica para nosotros como inversionistas muchos pasos, pero el más importante que quiero traer a colación hoy es que debemos invertir mucho más que dinero. Debemos invertir capital intelectual para ayudar a construir la capacidad y ayudar a construir las habilidades de esos empresarios para crear este nuevo sector de empresarios que están atendiendo los cambios sociales. En muchas de nuestras inversiones, cuando invertimos capital intelectual, y podemos hablar de eso después con quienes estén interesados, los empresarios nos han dicho que es tal vez más valioso que el mismo dinero que acompaña nuestras inversiones, porque estamos pasando de un sector de personas que eran inspiradas por una necesidad de cambio a un sector de muy alta competencia y de necesidades mucho más grandes en términos de profesionalismo y de habilidades que las del mismo sector privado tradicional. No solamente tenemos que hacer que un negocio suceda y que sea rentable, sino que también tenemos que atender a un cambio social estructural. Ahora, la tercera forma de capital que debemos invertir es capital social. Este foro, por ejemplo, es un foro que nos permite intercambiar ideas, que nos permite conocernos, que nos permite tener las lecciones aprendidas de estos pioneros y que debería ser un foro mucho más constante y donde deberíamos hablar mucho más a menudo en lugar de estar repitiendo esfuerzos donde cada uno está buscando una inversión para sí, independientemente de los demás, sin conexiones. Creo que lo interesante de este momento en el que estamos es que todavía tenemos un espacio muy grande para trabajar conjuntamente y generar beneficios mutuos para todo el sector.